Good morning, everybody, or good whatever time of the day it happens to be. So it came to my attention that the link for 1.12 in your assignments is not working. So I'll make it myself. We are going to take a look at subtracting fractions and mixed numbers. We'll do it in two sections. We'll take a look at subtracting fractions first. Then we will introduce the mixed numbers part. What I'm going to do is use the InRock text and pull examples from there for us to talk about. As you're going through it, one of the things that I'm sure you saw in the addition part was the need for like denominators. We are going to change that just a little bit. Let's take a look at, I'm looking for a good one. What the heck, we'll just make one up. So let's do subtracting fractions. So let's do this one. Let's do 3/4 minus 1/8. Generally, your first step is to get common denominators. We could do that, but you have done that in a previous life, so we're going to change this up a little bit. We are going to use a little trick called crisscross, straight across. It cracks a little piece off of my mathematician's soul to use tricks like this, but they work. And there's no reason for you not to use them in reality. What we're going to do is we are going to multiply from the bottom right to the top left. 8 times 3. And I'm going to write this out in steps first until you get the hang of it. And then I'm going to multiply the other direction. So this would be 4 times 1. And I'm going to keep that subtraction symbol in the middle. In the denominator, I'm going to multiply straight across. So this becomes 8 times 3 is 24. If you need to, put it into Desmos. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 8 is 32. 24 minus 4 is 20. Now, I know that both of these are divisible by 4, so if I want to reduce my fraction to lowest terms, I'm going to divide the numerator and the denominator by 4. So I'm left with 5 over 8. If you needed to put that in decimal form, let me switch to Desmos Scientific real quick because that's the one you guys have access to. I would do 5 divided by 8, and it gives me 0.625. So let's try another one. How about 1/5 minus 1/6? I have different denominators. It doesn't matter. We're going to do crisscross, straight across. So I'm going to multiply from the bottom right to the top left. I'm going to keep my subtraction symbol. And then I'm going to multiply from the bottom left to the top right. Then I multiply straight across. So I'm going to simplify. If you want to, from right here, you can go to Desmos. I can show you what that would look like. Because I want the whole fraction at once, I'm going to start with my fraction button, the a divided by b over there on the right. And I'm going to put in 6 times 1, not 61. minus 5 times 1 divided by 5 times 6. I get a really potentially scary looking decimal, but if I tap the two little the little boxes that look like a fraction on the right of it, it changes it to a reduced fraction, and I can be done with my problem. Now, does it matter if the denominators match? I am so glad you guys asked. Let's do one. How about, there is no reason to do giant denominators. Let's do 4/5 minus 3/5. Some of you may be able to do this in your head, and that's okay. I sometimes really stink at mental math. Well, most of the time, not just sometimes. And some of you may not be able to do it in your head, and that's okay. You can go straight to the calculator to subtract them. I'm going to show you that crisscross, straight across still works. So I'm going to criss. That means I'm going to do 5 times 4. I'm going to keep my subtraction symbol. And then I'm going to cross. So 5 times 3. And then I'm going to multiply straight across. I can go and put this all back in Desmos again. So I'm going to start with the fraction button, and I'm going to do 5 times 4 minus 5 times 3 divided by 25. I get 0.2, but I don't want a decimal. I want a reduced fraction, so I'm going to push the little fraction button on the right. And my reduced fraction is 1/5. So now let's take care of this whole mixed number thing. So let me find a good one. Let's do 6 4/5 minus 3 1/5. Now, there are a whole bunch of people who are going to tell you to subtract the whole numbers first, then subtract the fractions, and then they're going to go into this whole thing about borrowing from fractions and things. We're going to make it easier. The first thing we're going to do is convert to mixed numbers. Not mixed numbers, improper fractions. So to do that, I'm going to multiply 6 times 5 and then add the 4. Well, I know that 6 times 5 is 30 plus 4 is 34, and I keep the denominator the same. I'm going to keep my subtraction symbol, and then I'm going to do the same thing with the 3 1/5. I'm going to do 3 times 5, and I'm going to add the 1. 3 times 5 is 15, plus 1 is 16. And my denominator stays the same. Now, I can crisscross, straight across. So I'm going to multiply that direction. So I do 5 times 34. I keep my subtraction symbol. I do 5 times 16 all over 5 times 5. So if I simplify this, I get, well, I'm not going to simplify it, to be honest with you. We're going to put it in the calculator. There's my fraction button. 5 times 34 minus 5 times 16 divided by 5 times 5. I get 3.6. That's 18 over 5. But Ms. Graham, it says I need my answer to be a mixed number. Okay, we can do that. So if you need a mixed number, I know you're all super excited to hear about this. We're going to go old school long division. So I would do 18 divided by 5. Well, I know that 3 times 5 is 15. If I do 4 times 5, that would be 20, and that's too much. So I'm going to subtract. 18 minus 15 is 3. Now 5 won't go into 3 again, so I can't do it any further. And when I said we were going to do old school long division, I meant really old school. We're not going to, actually, yeah, we are. Never mind. This little number right here, this, what would normally be the remainder, is going to become your numerator. The 3, the big 3 on the top, is your whole part. And the 5 becomes the denominator. So your mixed number would be 5. 3 becomes the numerator. 5 is the denominator. So there's the mixed number to go along with your improper fraction. So we'll do another one. Let's do 7.5 minus 2 1/3. First step, change them to improper fractions. So I'm going to multiply 7 times 2 and add the 1. 7 times 2 is 14 plus 1 is 15, so this becomes 15 over 2. Now I'm going to multiply 2 times 3 and add the 1. 2 times 3 is 6 plus 1 is 7, so this becomes 7 over 3. Now I'm going to crisscross straight across. So this is 15 times 3. I'm going to bring down the minus. I'm going to multiply the other way. And then I'm going to multiply straight across. Now, if you want to do these in your head or piece by piece, you are welcome to. I'm going to go plug the whole thing in the calculator. 15 times 3 minus 2 times 7 over 2 times 3. So this becomes 31 over 6. Now, if the question says that an improper fraction is fine, you're done. But to give you one more where we go through converting that to a mixed number. That's where we're going to go with this. So I'm going to do 31 divided by 6. And we're going to do old school. I know 6 times 5 is 30. (31 minus 30 is 1. So the 5 becomes my whole number. The remainder down here, my leftovers, become the numerator. And that 6 is the denominator. Let me see if anything else in here looks a little scary. They do some examples where there's some regrouping. Don't worry about the regrouping. Just follow the crisscross straight across. Here's one that's a little bit different. We're going to use the same process, but I don't want you guys to freak out if you run across one on the assignment. Let's do 8 minus 4 and 2/5. It looks like, well, and you have a whole number minus a mixed number. But remember, you can put a whole number over 1 anytime and turn it into a fraction. So I'm going to go with 8 over 1, and then I'm going to convert 4 and 2/5 to an improper fraction by doing 4 times 5, and then I'm going to add the 2. So we have 8 over 1. 4 times 5 is 20, 21, 22. Now I'm going to crisscross straight across. So 5 times 8. I'm going to bring down the minus sign. 1 times 22. And then 1 times 5. So fraction button, and then 5 times 8 minus 1 times 22 divided by 1 times 5 is just 5, so I'm going to put that in there. I get 3.6. That's 18 over 5. Now we've already converted that to a mixed number in a previous problem, but I'm going to go through the process one more time so you get to see it. So we'll do 18 divided by 5. 3 times 5 is 15. I subtract and I have 3 left over. So the 3 on top becomes my whole number. The 3 on the bottom becomes my remainder or my numerator. And the 5 stays as the denominator. That should cover you guys. If you come across one that you're not sure about, or you think, I think Graham left this one out, absolutely let me know. Shoot me a message via Canvas, and I will absolutely hook you up.